We can biomanufacture fuel, we can biomanufacture specialty chemicals, we can biomanufacture soap and cleaning products, we can biomanufacture the ingredients, we can biomanufacture human breast milk, leather, textiles, aromas, you name it. We can create it using biology. That there is no more advanced manufacturing facility than a cell.
Welcome back to the Smart Biotech Scientist podcast. I'm David Bruhlman, your host, and we are in the middle of a conversation with James Ryall, who is a strategic consultant in the world of biomanufacturing. In this second half, we'll explore the challenges faced by biomanufacturing companies, delve into the exciting markets for biomanufactured products, and get James's insights on emerging trends that are shaping the future of biotech. Let's jump right back in with James. Are you juggling the complexities of CMC development while trying to enjoy the beauty of biotech? Have you ever wondered if there's a way to simplify bioprocessing? Welcome to the Smart Biotech Scientist podcast, where we're diving headfirst into the very challenges you face. We're breaking it down, demystifying the jargon, and giving you the keys to unlock your full potential. I'm your host, David Bruhlman, and I get it. With 15 plus years in the biotech industry, I face the same challenges you do. There's a way to simplify and streamline so you can remove complexity, you can skip trials and errors, deliver without delay your groundbreaking therapy to clinics and market, and still enjoy every single step. Do you want to learn how industry experts and I did it? Grab a cup of coffee and your favorite notebook and pen. Now is the time to take your bioprocessing game to the next level. Let's smarten up biotech. Now, I'm curious, James, in your experience, and you have seen several companies now at different stages, but what do you believe are the most common challenges or pitfalls biotech startups encounter when they're developing their technology or their product? They want to bring it from the lab to the market. What are the common themes you're seeing there?
Scaling and regs, they are by far and away the two biggest challenges that often get left too late. If you are a biomanufacturing clinical or not, if you're a biomanufacturing that startup or company and you have optimized your benchtop scale to the point that it's perfect, you've waited too late. You need to move into a scaled up process well before your benchtop process is optimized. Because all that time that you spend optimizing your benchtop process, not much of that is going to translate into your scaled up process. You need to find a way to start scaling sooner than you think you're ready for. And then I guess related to that is regs. If your product needs to be regulated, whether it is a food or some sort of therapeutic, that the sooner you can start that regulatory process, even if it's just getting on a call with FSANZ or the FDA or any of the global regulators. FSANZ is the Food Standards Australia and New Zealand group. And we also have the Therapeutic Goods Administration here in Australia, the TGA. But the sooner you can get into a dialogue with the regulators, the better. Companies, startups in particular, don't realize how long that process is going to take and can often be caught out where they've only got 6 or 12 months of runway left. They've got a process that works, but it's going to take them 18 months to get regulatory approval.
How can we help startup leaders realize that scaling up is important and that you should prepare it early, and that also that you should reach out to the regulatory bodies as early as you can? What are ways we can help them understand the criticality and also then help them make that decision to really put a focus on these aspects?
I think most founders are aware of it, that it's a case of trying to balance the economics of scaling up, that because it's a risk, that scaling before you are ready, that means that you'll waste a lot of money that scaling a process that's not ready to be scaled. But equally, delaying too long is a challenge as well. I think there's no easy answer to that question other than it comes down to education. It comes down to that sharing experiences and talking about the experiences that we've all had that with scaling different products and bringing them to market, and just interacting with founders and executive teams as best we can and constantly talking about the importance of bioprocessing and the challenges that come with bioprocessing. And it is not a one-to-one process where you optimize something in a shaker flask that will translate to any kind of bioreactor. I don't have a good answer to that question other than to say podcasts and sharing of information like this is just a fantastic place to start.
Great. Now let's zoom out a bit and let's look at the industry, because you have seen throughout your career numerous innovations in the entire biomanufacturing space. You are well aware of what's going on today and in the future in the industry. So can you share a few trends or a few things that are like fundamentally change the industry in the coming years?
I am so excited about biomanufacturing. I am so grateful to be able to work in this space at the moment, which I think that biomanufacturing and synthetic biology, the point that software engineers were at in the early 90s. Now, let's forget about the dot-com boom that happened, but I think the opportunity to leverage biology to create bio-based products is so immense. I'm not sure if you saw it, but there was a report from McKinsey a couple of years ago suggesting that up to 60% of consumer-based goods could be replaced by a bio-based equivalent. That we can biomanufacture fuel, we can biomanufacture specialty chemicals, we can biomanufacture soap and cleaning products, we can biomanufacture the ingredients, we can biomanufacture human breast milk, and that leather, textiles, aromas, you name it, we can create it using biology. And that there is no more advanced manufacturing facility than a cell. A cell is the most advanced manufacturing facility in the world, and it represents such an immense opportunity. So in terms of what I'm specifically excited by, my background is very much in the cultured meat space. I do believe that cultured food is going to take off. It is going to be available in more and more countries around the world. Yes, lots of companies will fail and lots of companies won't succeed in bringing products to market. But that's okay. This is a brand new space that not everyone is going to succeed. But I do believe the industry as a whole will succeed in bringing food to market. And what I'm excited about is not that it's going to bring replacements. It's not that it's going to bring another chicken breast or another T-bone steak to the table. It's the opportunity to create something that's new and better. You think about the example of Tesla, for example. Tesla didn't set out to replicate an existing car and just make it electric. They didn't sort of say, well, the Ford Ranger is the most popular car on the road, and so we will replicate that, but we'll just make it electric and people will buy it because it's electric. Instead, they said, well, we're going to go out and we're going to try and build the best car on the market. And it just so happens that it's going to be electric as well. People are going to buy it because of the power and the tech and the coolness and the safety features, and everything about it is fundamentally a better product than what's available today. And that, I think, is not just cultured meat or food, but bio-based manufacturing needs to really think about is that you can't simply replicate an existing product and tell consumers to buy it because it is bio-based and sustainable and better for the environment. You've got to have a strong value proposition that makes it better. You've got to make a product that is fundamentally better than the equivalent on the market, and then people will buy it. And one of the benefits will be, hopefully, that we can take plastics and other materials out of the supply chain in a way that is effective.
So is this the key for widespread adoption, for instance, for cultured meat? or do we still need to drastically lower the price?
I mean, price is always key. You've got to win on taste and price, taste, nutrition, and price. You simply can't go with the sustainable and the animal ethics side of things. That there's a small, very, very small proportion of the population who can make those decisions where they're willing to spend more money to purchase a product that is sustainable and better for the environment. Most people who go into the supermarket to buy a jar of spaghetti sauce, they're not looking at the carbon footprint of one spaghetti sauce versus another. That's not something that crosses their mind. What they're looking for something that fits within their budget and something that they know tastes good. And that's what they're looking for. And that's what we need to be thinking about. That across the board with biomanufacturing is how do you make a product that consumers will selfishly pick as opposed to asking them to think more broadly about the future of the planet.
Yeah, that's an exciting topic. And I think it would even be an entire podcast about how to make these products viable, and why not doing that in a few months? Would be a big pleasure.
We haven't even touched on any of the products themselves. So, I mean, I mentioned food, and one of the ones I love is skis made out of microalgae. But then there's puffer jackets, there's leather, there's silk, there's, as I mentioned, human breast milk and breast milk-based proteins, there's cheese for your pizza, you name it. And it can be built using a bio-based equivalent. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, let's do that. I mean, I love this topic. We definitely need to talk about these exciting developments. But for now, I have another question, James, because as the industry is revolving so rapidly, I would like to know how you stay ahead of the curve. What is your strategy?
It's hard. My answer to the direct question is, how do I stay ahead? I don't. It's impossible to stay ahead of what's happening across the broad sector. Because remember, when we're talking about biomanufacturing, we're talking about cell-based cultivation, fermentation, molecular farming, and then cell-free processes as well. So 4 very, very broad areas. So trying to stay on top of that is impossible. In terms of not falling too far behind, all I can say is that I spend a huge amount of my time reading and trawling the web. I have bookmarked a lot of VC websites. I get a lot of VC quarterly newsletters where you get updates on portfolio companies that are at the early stages of building these new biomanufactured products. But a lot of it is also just in cold reach outs and having conversations with founders as well. I try to speak with 3 to 4 to sometimes 5 founders every week, that just to learn about what they're building, what they're working on, what their pain points are, how they're utilizing technology in a new and exciting way. And I actually find those conversations often reveal a lot more than I'll get from simply reading what's available online.
Yeah, I love that. I totally agree with you, James. I love having conversation with other people from our field often, as much as I can. And every single time I learned something, I probably would not have learned just by reading an article, because the conversation goes down a different route I had not expected. So I love that I'm having conversations. So with all what we have covered today, James, what is the most important takeaway from our conversation?
For me, I would love for all of your listeners to take away a couple of key things. The first one is that biomanufacturing is an incredibly huge opportunity. It's an incredible opportunity for anyone who has been working in bioprocessing. I imagine there's a large number of your listeners, David, who have been working in the clinical and pharma bioprocessing space for a very, very long time. And I would urge every one of those people to start exploring the biomanufacturing sector, the non-clinical biomanufacturing sector, because startups, SMEs, companies that are building these new products, they need to work with people who have years of experience that developing and optimizing new bioprocessing lines. So there's a great opportunity for everyone who has been working in this space to help grow the biomanufacturing sector. I think the other key takeaway for any of the founders and early stage teams that are looking to dip their toe into the bioprocessing space, I would urge people to start scaling up, to start thinking about how to scale up their process. If they are doing a 1 litre shaker flask today, think about how you can do 2 1 litre shaker flasks tomorrow. If you're doing the 15 ml shaker tubes today, think about how you're going to move to a 100 ml shaker flask tomorrow. Constantly be thinking about, how do I go to a larger scale and how do I do that quickly? Because you're going to learn so much as you scale up. You need to be solving that scientific hurdle at the same time as developing your media formulation and your cell lines and your downstream processes as well. So don't leave upstream the scale up to the last minute.
Thank you so much, James, for all these amazing insights. It's been a wonderful conversation. Where can people connect with you?
So definitely LinkedIn is probably the place where I'm most active, but people can also check out my website, which has got a whole bunch of free resources for companies that are looking for support around cell line development, media formulation, and bioprocess optimization as well.
Awesome. I'm going to leave the links in the show notes. Please reach out to James. And James, thank you once again for being on the show today.
Thank you so much, David. It was lovely to have a chat and conversation about a topic that I'm so passionate and excited about.
And there you have it, scientists. What a fascinating journey through the world of biomanufacturing with James Ryall. And tell us, what did you think about today's episode by leaving a review on Apple Podcast. I love hearing from you. Thank you so much for your review. And thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, this is David Brulman signing off. Stay smart, stay curious, and keep pushing the boundaries of biotech. All right, smart scientists. That's all for today on the Smart Biotech Scientist podcast. Thank you for tuning in and joining us on your journey to bioprocess mastery. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast platform. By doing so, we can empower more scientists like you. For additional bioprocessing tips, visit us at smartbiotechscientist.com. Stay tuned for more inspiring biotech insights in our next episode. Until then, let's continue to smarten up biotech.